So the NBA season is still a few months out, and free agency is pretty much over at this point, except for a few restricted free agents. So I decided I would be doing a redraft of all of the last 15 drafts in the NBA. Of course, starting with the 2003 draft, one of the best in NBA history, featuring LeBron James, Dwyane Wade, Carmelo Anthony, and Chris Bosh. With the first pick in the 2003 draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers originally selected LeBron James. Obviously, this selection will stay the same, as the Cavs managed to get one of the best players of all time with this pick. With the second pick in the draft, the Detroit Pistons originally selected Darko Milicic. With Milicic on this roster, the Pistons were able to win the finals, backed by Milicic's incredible play in the regular season. Despite being only 18 years old, he averaged 1.5 points and 1.5 rebounds while shooting 26% from the field. Milicic may go down as the biggest bust of all time because if the Pistons had selected Carmelo Anthony, Dwyane Wade, or Chris Bosh, they might have been multiple time champions rather than just winning one championship. In this redraft, however, the Detroit Pistons select Dwyane Wade with the second overall pick. Wade would likely come off the bench as the sixth man in his rookie year, but he would probably crack the starting lineup in his second season and beyond, and probably propel the Pistons to another championship or two. With the third pick in the draft, the Denver Nuggets originally selected Carmelo Anthony. In this draft, they still do. Chris Bosh is another player on the board who could have been taken, but in my opinion, Carmelo is the better player, and Bosh's health problems have kept him out of the NBA since 2016. With the fourth pick in the draft, the Toronto Raptors originally selected Chris Bosh. Bosh is easily the best player available at this point, and this is a very obvious selection. With the fifth pick in the draft, the Miami Heat originally selected Dwyane Wade. Wade, of course, is long gone, so we need to find another player for the Heat. In this redraft, the Miami Heat select David West. West is a two-time All-Star and in his prime a 20-point per game scorer. He was, however, already 23 at the start of the season, making him one of the oldest rookies in the league. This caused him to slow down earlier than he would have liked, and by his ninth season, he was already declining. This pick also means that the Big Three would likely never form, as David West, of course, is not as good as Dwyane Wade. With the sixth pick in the draft, the Los Angeles Clippers originally selected Chris Kaman. In this redraft, they still select Kaman. At the time, the Clippers had a great young core with Elton Brand, Quentin Richardson, and Corey Maggette. All that they needed was a front court player and a point guard. Brand was able to play the power forward position, so they were able to take the best front court player available, which was Chris Kaman. In his prime, Kaman was able to score 15 or so points, grab 9 or so rebounds, and play great defense. He also entered the league as a 21-year-old, which gave him the opportunity to develop more than Udonis Haslem, another front court player, who was 23 entering the league at this time. With the seventh pick in the draft, the Chicago Bulls originally selected Kirk Heinrich. In this redraft, they select Josh Howard. Howard was great in his prime, averaging at least 18 points for 3 straight seasons. However, he was already 23 when he came to the league, which hurt his development, and he also suffered an ACL tear in 2010, which killed his career. At the time, the Bulls had good young players in Jamal Crawford, Eddie Curry, and Tyson Chandler. They also had a solid point guard, which meant they desperately needed a wing. With Josh Howard being available, they take him in this redraft. With the eighth pick in this draft, the Milwaukee Bucks originally selected TJ Ford. In the redraft, they select Mo Williams. The Bucks originally drafted a point guard, and that makes sense in my opinion. They needed a point guard, and Mo Williams is by far the best one available. Williams has had a good career, averaging 14 or more points consistently until he retired. He was a one-time All-Star with the Cavs, and is the right pick here for the Bucks. With the ninth pick in the draft, the New York Knicks originally selected Michael Sweetney. In this redraft, however, they select Udonis Haslem. The Knicks had no young talent and were actually trying to win at this point. Haslem is the best player available in my opinion, which is why I have the Knicks selecting him. Haslem has always been a good rebounder and defender, and he was a key contributor on the Miami Heat teams that won 2 championships. With the 10th pick in the draft, the Washington Wizards originally selected Jarvis Hayes. In this redraft, however, they select Nick Collison. The Wizards actually had a nice young core with Gilbert Arenas, Larry Hughes, and Kwame Brown. They also had Jerry Stackhouse on the team. They were severely lacking in the front court, however, which is why in the redraft I have them selecting Nick Collison. Collison is very similar to Haslam in the sense that he isn't good offensively, but he's a good rebounder and defender. With the 11th pick in the draft, the Golden State Warriors originally selected Michael Petrus. In this redraft, however, they select Kyle Korver. The Warriors already had Jason Richardson and Mike Dunleavy, who looked like they were going to be great players in the future. Even though the Warriors need a big, there aren't any bigs here on the same level as some of the guards available, which is why I have the Warriors selecting Kyle Korver. Korver is one of the best three-point shooters of all time and actually holds the record for three-point percentage in a single season with .536. With the 12th pick in the draft, the Seattle Supersonics originally selected Nick Collison. Collison, of course, is off the board, so we need to look for someone else. In this redraft, I have them selecting Jose Calderon. At the time, the Sonics had Ray Allen, Rashard Lewis, and Vladimir Radmanovic. They needed a point guard and a center pretty badly. Calderon is one of the most efficient players of all time with career shooting splits of 47, 41, and 87. And also, he has the highest free throw percentage of all time at .981. Calderon also averaged 7 or more assists in 6 seasons. He would fit very well next to Allen, Lewis, and Radmanovic. With the 13th pick in the draft, the Memphis Grizzlies originally selected Marcus Banks. In this redraft, however, they select Boris Diaw. The Grizzlies were actually pretty good in the 2004 season, winning 50 games. They had a good young core of Pau Gasol, James Posey, Jason Williams, and Mike Miller. However, they didn't have a consistent power forward. Diaw is a great floor spacer as a power forward, doesn't demand the ball, and he's a pretty good playmaker. Banks was traded to Boston and didn't play in Memphis, but I would assume they keep Diaw as he fits their team much better. With the 14th pick in the draft, the Seattle Supersonics originally selected Luke Ridnour. With this pick, however, they select Kendrick Perkins in the redraft. Of course, the Sonics selected Jose Calderon with the 12th pick in this redraft, which means they still need a center pretty badly. There were still two quality centers left on the board, with Kendrick Perkins and Zaza Pachulia being unselected. Perkins is a great rebounder and defender, but is awful on offense. However, this shouldn't be too much of an issue as Ray Allen was averaging close to 25 points at the time. Now, of course, with this redraft, there still are some good players left on the board, so I would like to give an honorable mention to Kirk Heinrich, Leandro Barbosa, Jason Capono, and Steve Blake. Now, just because these players didn't get drafted doesn't mean they weren't good enough. A lot of this came down to fit, and these guys just didn't fit on the teams that were in the lottery. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. That was my redraft of the 2003 draft. Leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and comment down below what your picks would have been in this draft.